Hello everyone, I am Lauren Windsor. I'm your decluttering and organising coach, and thank you for joining me again for another episode of I Know Just the Girl. Today's episode I am joined by the amazing Louise Robertson. Louise is the girl I would say, I know just the girl. If you felt like you were just lacking a bit in your own self-care, your self-love and your self-worth, this is hugely important for everybody, especially women, and it's sort of been coming to the foreground for a few years now. And I think even more importantly, in the past 12 to 18 months, we've seen how important it is for women and mothers in business to really value themselves more. So Louise today, Louise is an empowerment coach in her business, Wholesome Healing Essentials. Louise empowers overwhelmed mums in business to step into their own by teaching how she overcame her own demons and started being the leading lady of her story. Thank you so much for joining us, Louise. Doesn't that sound amazing, being the leading lady of your story?
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So tell us a bit more about yourself and how you came to do what you do and what it is that you do and why. I'll just sit back and listen to that story.
How much time do we have? No, look, let's start.
As long as you want.
I'm a mum of 3 boys. And my husband and I run a law firm from home. But as well as that, I run Wholesome Healing Essentials. It started about 3 years ago now, not quite. I hit breaking point, which a lot of us mums do, because we just give everything to everyone else and we don't have time for ourselves. And, you know, we hit that point where we realize that something's got to give. It was a pretty messy time for me, but it was that gift from the universe to say, hey, you need to check in with yourself and see where this is going. And I realized that I had nothing, like for me personally, I was giving everything to my kids, everything to my husband and everything to our business together. I'd given up all of everything that kind of made me. And so I decided to start a business, like, because if I didn't have enough on my plate already. But it was actually the best thing for me because it carved out that time for me. It was a way for me to express myself and to be creative and to just have that time that was just me. And that actually made me more efficient in my other business. So it made its own time, if you like, because I was more efficient everywhere else. I had the time to work on that business. And then that has just grown so much. I started out very differently. It was just kind of making my own pamper products for women and encouraging them to, you know, spend some time on self-care. And then I found NLP. And so I studied that and became a neurolinguistic programming practitioner. I'm also studying aromatherapy as well to sort of combine that. And yeah, I've just keep pushing on and keep going and keep finding new things and keep amalgamating them into the services that I'm offering my clients. And I wouldn't look back. It's just been amazing.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Yeah, it's amazing how when you start to sort of just open up to the things that really light you up, how that just flows more easily. And it, like you say, it makes you more productive in other areas because you're just more yourself. You're more full already. And I think we'll get into that a little more because you do talk about filling your cup and letting the overflow supply the rest of your world. So it's always fascinating hearing your story. So sticking with some of my questions, I wanted to ask, what would you say is the biggest misconception in your line of work? So in
There's
the
a lot.
healing, I mean, I'll admit I'm a very skeptical person by nature. So there's a lot of things that just sort of get thrown into the woo-woo basket for me. And over the past few years, I've started to open up a bit more to that kind of thing. And even things like essential oils that I now use all the time were once upon a time just, no thanks, that's not my kind of thing. No. So you started with essential oils and that kind of thing in your products, and you've moved on to studying aromatherapy, and you've got the NLP, the neurolinguistic programming, which is another woo-woo level altogether. But like the logical side of me knows that the neurolinguistic programming is actually very scientific and psychological. So psychology sciences, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I know that kind of thing, but for those who haven't quite opened up to this sort of stuff yet, or who need a bit more of a push, there'd be a lot of misconceptions around like the woo-woo side of what you do. What would you say is the biggest misconception?
For sure. Oh, look, as you say, there are so many of the, oh, that doesn't work, or, don't believe in it. How can I possibly change my thoughts? And, it's all just comes second nature. And yeah, so many misconceptions around that. But also just from the other perspective, the misconception that that we don't have time for ourselves. We don't have time to stop. And that was the biggest misconception that kind of created this business, I suppose. It was mine. It was my misconception. And so many of us have it, that if we stop just for a moment to work on us, to do anything with us, that everything's going to come tumbling down and fall apart, and we're never going to be able to pick up the pieces. But it's the opposite of that, right? We if we keep going along that trajectory, we will break. Everything will fall apart, and it's not going to work. And so that's why it is so important to look into us. And, we already have everything we need within us. All of the answers, all of the, our dreams and goals to succeed in any of them, we already have it. And we just got to start looking within. And that's, I guess, another misconception, is that the answers are all out here somewhere. Other people or other things are all the answers, or they're all to blame. And we're constantly looking for external validation and, everything in the external world. But we really got to look within. Everything is there. We've just got to take that time and explore it.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? Like the idea that we don't have time and the answers are somewhere else. And obviously you see that so much with your clients and the work you do, when you are like, you start by looking inwards. I see that with my clients, because we often start with what's happening in this space around you, in your home, that kind of thing. And it's very rarely an issue with just the mess on that table. It's happening up here first. The answers are up here. And it's going to come back to that table if you don't sort out what's up here too. So you're right. It's all in there somewhere.
Yeah, so, we just got to dig sometimes.
Yeah. So Louise, what would you tell a woman who was looking to find their worth, or to better their self-love, self-care, better themselves?
Yeah, the self.
This year, this 2021.
Start small. Really, really, really small. And celebrate what you already have and what you already are. I guess that can be really complicated in itself, though, can't it? Who are you? And actually, I read a really interesting quote the other day in Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. It was, who was I before the world told me who I was supposed to be? I was just like, wow, that's so true. Like, how do we find out who we are again? Because we go along and we listen to all the stories we tell ourselves and all the stories that everyone else is telling ourselves, and we allow society and other people to shape us. And it's about, I guess, stripping that back and saying, well, no, who am I really? And what do I want? Having the courage to really look at that and really look at yourself and say, well, yeah, what do I actually want? And am I doing this for me? Am I doing this because I think I should? And that's that can be really scary and really, really daunting. So I guess the really small things are just to find what's already working for you, find what you love already, and celebrate that, and just focus on the really small things.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick out the bits you love the most, and how can we highlight those and make them a bigger part, or have more of that. That's right. Yeah, I love that. Good tip. I am wondering, just because everything in my world comes back to a form of clutter, have you noticed, and where have you noticed your clients deal with the most clutter?
Absolutely. This is an easy one. Our thoughts.
Yeah.
Our thoughts.
I think I saw
clutter
that coming.
everything. For sure. The negative chatter that we tell ourselves all the time. Like it's our brain is negatively wired by default. And so if we're not aware of that, and if we're not working to change that, then everything's just going to go back to that negative cycle. You know, the hate talk and the stories we tell ourselves, the put downs and all of our limiting beliefs. Like it's just going to keep coming back. And it's the first step really is just becoming aware of that. Becoming aware that, oh, hang on, that doesn't sound like a way I should be talking to myself, and just trying to break that, introduce a pattern interrupt. Just yell stop when you feel yourself talking to yourself horribly. I found that works really well. Just stop. And then bit by bit you can try and work on flipping that to something a little bit more positive. But definitely so much clutter going on in our thoughts. Like we have, I think it's about 60,000 thoughts a day.
That is a lot of thoughts.
So, yeah, it's crazy. There's so much going on in there. And if we just let our brain take us down its own path, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get negative. And who knows what could happen down there. I mean, we all do. We've all done it, right? We've all fallen down that negative spiral sometimes. And it's just becoming aware of your thoughts and the impact that they have, how much our thoughts determine our emotions, and from that our actions. And that we have no control over anything else external to us, but we have complete control over everything internally by controlling our thoughts. We'll have automatic thoughts that come up all the time. Like we're never going to be able to just stop the negative thoughts altogether. It's our default that, as I said, the brain's default is negative. And also we still have that fight, flight, freeze instinct within us, that brings up the negativity as a sort of protection mechanism. But it's being aware of that and going, well, hang on, stop. I can come up with something a little bit nicer for that. And it's changing that thoughts that will then change your emotion and change the lenses you're seeing the world through and the filters you're looking through. And so you can respond more kindly rather than responding in anger, responding in frustration. And as we all do, because we let our negative chatter build up, and then like the kids might ask for something and we just get so worked up over it. So we yell at them rather than being able to respond in kindness and seeing that they're not trying to upset us. They're not doing it deliberately. They're not going out of their way to be annoying. And we can see that more easily, that actually, they're just being humans.
This is something I've spoken to my son, who's sort of verging on that teenage thing. And I mean, for years now, we've worked on this kind of stuff because emotional regulation is a big issue for my kids and for a lot of kids. And hearing things come out of either of them, but specifically his mouth, like, you're making me angry. I'm like, hang on. Nah. And then I realized he's probably heard me say that. And then so as somebody who has worked on this myself, I know what you're saying to be true. I know that I can change that and I can control that and I can affect my own mood. But for those who are sort of quite deep in that negativity, you say start small. Can you give us like some examples for when we go, okay, this is negative talk, but it's true. It's because I know when you're in that mode, it can be really hard to convince yourself, firstly, that it is possible to turn it around. But then also, if I'm going to turn it around, what can I say? Because that would just be a lie. Like that, I know, I know it's not. But for those who are stuck in that loop, how would you deal with that?
Yeah, it can be so hard because, and it is pointless telling yourself something you don't believe, because it's not going to hit home. It's not going to hit the mark. And so I found, like, if you can't find a positive opposite, just try for something neutral. Just take out the negative language of your statement and just state the fact as it is with no emotional language. So rather than, can't think of an example. But yeah, rather than say, for example, like, oh, there was a big scary dog chasing me or something, just there was a dog.
Yeah.
Take out all the, like, because that's only your interpretation of that. And that can be hard to work out what's your interpretation and what is actual fact. But if you just try and think, okay, well, does everyone see this dog as scary? Or are some people just going to see it as a dog? And just try and strip back the emotive language so that you're just stating a fact, and just try and bring it more to the neutral if you can't find anything positive. That at least takes the negative out of it, which takes some of that sting away, and you can go and you can just look at it from sort of a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, maybe I am overreacting or being a bit too hard on myself or whatever.
Yeah. One that used to come up a lot for me, and now when it comes up, I laugh at it because I know what I'm doing now. But when you're driving, you know, not proper road rage, but just that annoyance when some idiot cuts in front of you, or so many people in this car park, why is everybody out today? And, you know, when you strip back the emotion from that, you're like, yeah, because everyone totally knew that I was coming out today and they got ahead of me to get all the parks. That makes sense.
That's right. But we generalize about everything. Always and never, and everyone's doing this. And
that person that cut in front of me, they're such an idiot, they're such a jerk, what a nasty person. Or maybe they're really stressed and they just didn't see you. And maybe they need a bit of kindness there. Like, I'm sure there have been times where I haven't been 100% on my game and I've, you know, cut things a little bit too fine or something. Like, you know, if I do it, I'm just having a bad day. But if anybody else does it, they're clearly a moron. Right?
Yeah. That's right. But and we just got to remind ourselves that, like, people don't get out of bed of a morning and think, right, I'm going to go and piss off as many people as I possibly can. Right. We've got to try and put ourselves in their shoes so that, maybe they are having a bad day. And actually, with something interesting in my training, a teacher was saying something about, I don't remember this now. So it's relating to cars. You know, maybe you're driving behind someone who's driving really, really slow, and you think, oh, you know, what a moron. But you get a chance to overtake them and you kind of fly past them and they think, geez, what a maniac.
Yeah.
You know, and then the car behind you that was behind them, you know, you're going slow and they think, oh, what a moron, but you're only going slow because the car in front of you is going slow. So who's actually the moron, who's actually the maniac is dependent on where you are, you know, in the queue of cars.
It's all about perspective, right?
That's really interesting because you are both to different people.
Yeah.
And so you just got to stop and think, well, I can only control me. So if I just focus on what I'm doing right now and focus on where my feelings are coming from, which is my thoughts, try and focus on that, then it will help my world. Like, we can't change the external world, but we can change our perception of our world by changing our thoughts, which changes our whole world.
Yeah.
Basically.
And it's hard to explain until you've been there. But if anyone is finding themselves stuck in that negativity or undervaluing themselves, even if you think that you're valuing yourself fairly, it's just a very low value. You need to talk to Louise. You need to get onto this because you're worth so much more than that. We all are worth so much more than the little that we are kind of trained to expect.
Yeah.
And that's not about a dollar value necessarily. It's about respect. It's a self-respect thing, right?
Absolutely.
The rest comes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Major clutter there. I love it. Let's clear all of that emotional clutter. Yeah. So back to, I suppose, a bit more tangible stuff. Do you consider yourself naturally organized?
I used to be. Okay. A long time ago. I used to be a functions coordinator for a few different groups, and I was like, I was on the ball. I was organized. I used to be really clean before I had kids. Everything was like on point and on schedule and on everything, and then I became a mom.
Yeah. And you just
so right now, no, I am
the unimaginable. Can you?
Yeah, gosh, it really changes your world, doesn't it? But now I am the mum who's doing the book list like the week before school and just thinking, oh my God, what have I missed? And I'm completely unorganized. But I am starting to find my way back into organization a little bit. Thank you to yourself. My kids' rooms are staying reasonably tidy. And we're really starting to work through our stuff. And so it's much easier now that we're on top of things to sort of stay that little bit more organized. And I've also got help organizing my content calendar as well, which helps. And I'm remembering how much freedom there actually is in structure.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much freedom in structure, and you're asking for help because now you value yourself enough to get help. Like, you know, you can't be expected to spend all of your time doing and doing and doing, even if it is for your own business. Like, reaching out and accepting a VA or a content planner or whatever it is like it, again, it values your business and it values you more, which is fantastic. It opens up more space again. And I know that you and your boys had a lot of fun when you started to involve them in the organizing rather than just doing it all yourself, or you know, not yelling, but you know, would you just pick these things up?
Yes. Ooh, so, yes, it's totally changed the dynamic. It's wonderful. And it used to be like I would just go, right, this is all going, and put it in the box to go. And little by little, like they would find the things I'd stashed in the box that was going to Lifeline, and it would all somehow end up back in their boxes. And I was like there was things I tried to get rid of for years, and they just never ended up out the door. Whereas now, with their involvement, thank you to you, it's just completely changed the dynamic of things. They, they're still not quite happy about the process, but they will do it. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, I'll get rid of this if it means being able to keep this. And, you know, they have their boxes, and it just makes things so much easier. And now all the stuff that's scheduled to go to Lifeline actually makes it out the door, actually goes away. And it's like nothing else
different.
So different. It's incredible. And we you know, we asked for experiences and the like at Christmas, and you know, everyone complied. It was so good. It was amazing. We've got incredible families, and so it meant not adding to that clutter, and they got some incredible experiences out of it. So so good. Totally changed our lives. It's been amazing.
And they, again, it's what you teach too. That's about valuing and respecting. It's just, you know, it's kind of leaned towards the kids and their stuff rather than mums and their person, you know, and yourself. But it's a similar idea, really.
It really is.
I want to reiterate, you know, guys, if you are struggling with this, the self-worth, like I cannot explain to you, like going from feeling undervalued, and it comes from you. It often starts, and I think you might agree, Louise, you notice the undervalue when other people are valuing you. Like if you felt like you weren't being paid enough in your job, you'd feel a bit cranky about that. And it would be somebody else's fault that they're not paying you enough. But if you're seeing that happen frequently and you're letting it happen, it's because you're undervaluing yourself too. And if you're not valuing yourself, then nobody else is going to value you. And you know, I this wasn't even like, I don't even see how this flows in how I was just structuring this interview, but I wanted to make sure that people got this because, you know, I've been there, you've been there. I don't think I know anyone who hasn't been there. And it's so hard seeing clients and friends and family that are still stuck in that space, and you just want to go, come on, I know how to make this better, but I can't do it for you because you can't. It doesn't matter how much I love and value you. If you don't, it's not going to make any difference in your world at all. And
that's right.
You know, that's why that's why Louise is here on this interview, because she is the girl that I'm saying to you, I know just the girl for you, please. Seriously, you can't value yourself enough. You know, there's always more worth there to find.
Oh. And often it's just the little things like, well, not asking for help. You know, it can be, it's so small. Like maybe we do think we're worthy up to a point, but then, I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to burden anyone, or I don't want to do this. And so it can be just the little things like that you think, well, no, that you are worth it. You are worth all of it and more. Ask for the help, get the help. It's not a weakness. It's not selfish. You're not going to burden anyone unless they choose to be burdened. You need to get in and ask for the help.
Yeah. And okay, I have another question for you. And this one, I didn't prepare you for this question, so I'm sorry if this is jumping out.
Okay.
But this is something that I talk about a lot to clients as well as to groups and wherever I get the opportunity. Self-care often is presented to us, like when you see the posts on Instagram or whatever about, make sure you're getting your self-care and the hashtag self-care, whatever. It's always like a big bubbly bath or I don't know, a really nice cocktail or whatever. And those things are great, but where like that's not all self-care is it? So
Absolutely
can
not.
you maybe tell us a couple of like everyday self-cares that we don't normally like, a tea is nice and a chocolate's nice and like those little pampery type things are great and do,
Yeah,
but what else factors into self-care for you?
for sure. Well, I see self-care as 3 levels, and they're not of any different importance. They're all equally as important.
Okay.
But I see them as sort of the surface level, like not surface levels of importance, but just on you, like getting your hair done, getting manicure, pedicure, buying some new clothes, things that make you feel good, putting on some makeup, like doing things like that are sort of the external body.
Yeah.
Are still considered self-care. They make you feel good. If you want to do it, do it. As long as you're doing it for you and not because you think you should or, or society says I need to look like this, I'm going to go do this. It needs to be for you. And if it's for you, absolutely wonderful. That, that is self-care. And then obviously there's the internal things like eating well and exercising, and, going to the dentist and the optometrist and all those things. Like I just did that leading up to Christmas. I thought, no, I've got to go and do these things and, getting yourself checked out, and like for women having mammograms and all the hard things that we go and do, get it all done. And then there's the deep level stuff, meditating, journaling, the things that really light you up, that help you, the things that help you look within. I love to meditate through dance and with music and stuff, because that really it really raises my vibrations and really lights me up, but it also gives me that opportunity to clear my mind and direct my thoughts and to find some of the answers I'm looking for. So the really deep internal work is equally as important. The little things that you can start with is gratitudes, like listing a few things you're grateful for. That can really help boost your mood. Just taking a few deep breaths. Really simple things that just lift your mood and make you feel good. And anything that you do where you're choosing you is self-care.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's that middle level that, I mean, sometimes it gets left behind, but I think what it is that it doesn't get considered self-care enough. That idea that like self-care has to be the things that make you feel good right now. Whereas something like, getting your health checkups and your mammograms and stuff, nobody wants to do that. That is not something that you see on your calendar and you're like, oh yeah, get me in there. No, nobody enjoys that, but that it's important for your long-term well-being. But then like for me, and you might have a different description of this, so maybe you can correct me on this, but things like, you have a VA or a content planner to help you with your business, hiring and outsourcing tasks so that you've got more time for yourself is, for me, that's self-care. I like to say I have pre-made decisions. So I have set things that I don't even need to think about, like my wardrobe. I hardly have to think about that. I don't even look at half the clothes in the shops because they're not my colors.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be a whole other podcast, but things that save me energy, recurring appointments, that kind of stuff. For me, that's a type of self-care. And
absolutely,
we don't factor that in as self-care enough. I was speaking to somebody recently who describes, doing her budget as a type of self-care. Now, I don't think that was Serena, who does talk about money on this vodcast series. She loves doing her financial planning and that kind of stuff. But to have it described as self-care was like that really hit that was like, that is exactly what I'm talking about. And I wish that more women understood that, you know, when we say you need to spend more time taking care of yourself, it's not just getting your nails done and getting your hair done. If that's not your style, that's totally fine, but you still need to make sure you're doing those internal and the middle level and the external stuff that helps you to eat with your wellness. So
definitely. Yeah. And you're right about it being, it's for the long term as well, not just the immediate, you know, like, because I've I woke up the other morning and I think, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, no, I'm so tired. I'm like, I should exercise. I'm like, no, I get to exercise. And then I'm like, yeah, but I also get to go back to bed. And I was so tempted. I'm like, yeah, but I can go back to bed. And I can feel great right in this moment, or I can exercise, and I know that the long-term benefit is going to be better for me.
I battle that so many times. I'm like, but I know I will enjoy it once I'm out, but I'm enjoying this now. Sometimes the wins, sometimes the walk wins. I don't know.
That's hard, isn't it? But yeah, it's not always about the immediate gratification and the immediate making us feel good. But it's about things that we know will serve us better. And it's the same with like with our emotions as well. You know, and letting our negative thoughts carried away and allowing to get stuck in that anger and frustration. That doesn't serve us at all. And stepping out of that can be really, really scary sometimes. And, you know, it's stepping out of our comfort zone. But the long-term benefits we're going to get out of that is so much better than just staying in it. And I used to do that all the time. I would wrap anger around me like a security blanket and grip to it because it was familiar, and so therefore it was comfortable.
It feels safer.
And letting go of that felt terrifying, but I knew ultimately it wasn't serving me. And so the self-care aspect of that was to let it go and to step up and step away from that. And even though it was terrifying, to open up about it all and to work on me, it can be a really scary thing. But the long-term benefits are just incredible.
Yeah. Well, speaking of terrifying and sort of letting things go a little bit, you in recent months have really opened up on your social media and stuff, and you've shared a lot about how you use dance and movement and stuff as your meditation. Anyone who hasn't seen it yet, go and find Louise's Instagram. Your reels and IGTV and stuff is just moving. It's Louise enjoying herself and just opening up. And it's very inspiring because that would have been absolutely terrifying to start with, to just, you know, go on. I know that I'm still uncomfortable doing unplanned lives, and even this is still relatively new to me. But for you, you're not even just being on camera. Your whole body, you're dancing, you're enjoying yourself, and you're so free. If anyone needs inspiration for just letting go and and loving themselves, that's what all of your reels basically are about.
Thank you. And that's beautiful. Yeah.
What sort of pushed you to I mean, I can know that you've gone like a little bit at a time, as you've recommended to all of us, doing a little bit at a time, but that's a big scary leap to go from hiding behind a computer to dancing for the world.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you know what? I never really thought about it like that. It was, to me, it was just, that is my creative outlet, and it was fun. And so I just did it, and I didn't even really think about it. I didn't let those fears get in my way. And because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, right? I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it anyway. And so just putting a camera in front of me, it just made sense. It didn't seem like a huge thing at the time. Which is amazing, because a few years ago, like, I wouldn't have even, I remember my first live from a couple of years ago, and I was just terrified and I just did not like to come on camera at all. And even back in high school, like, just talking to someone, I would beetroot red and trip over my words, and I was so shy, and so, like, I didn't want to be seen at all. Whereas now it's just that I know that my own acceptance of myself is the only thing that matters. I'm no longer looking for external validation. I know I'm worthy, and I've found that self-love within myself that I want other people to find. And so I just jump on camera now and hope that I am an inspiration to someone, and hope that I do just brighten someone's day.
Oh, I'm confident that you are doing that every time you go on live. As we wrap up, I just wanted to ask one more. I wanted to know if you have a favorite decluttering tip to share, and that can be physical or emotional decluttering.
Yeah, we'll definitely start small, as I said before.
Mm-hmm.
And as you've said a lot too, the Vegemite, right? Start with Belinda's Vegemite trick.
Yeah.
One little thing. And ask for help.
Yeah.
Right? Hire yourself if you're needing decluttering for space. Hire me if you need decluttering for your mind. Like, hire anyone, all of your women from this series.
Yeah.
Just reach out to them. Ask for help. You are not beyond helping. And we cannot do everything on our own. And we're probably not that well placed to do some things either. Like, we all have our own special talents.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're not ours, then get someone else in to do that, because it will just clear the space for you, and allow you to just put that bit aside for now, and you can focus on something else.
Yeah.
So that's a really big thing, is just to reach out for help. It's not a weakness at all. That's something I used to believe so much. Like, no, I can't ask for help. But it's life-saving. And to just start really small, just little bit by little bit, and celebrate every single time that you ask for help, or that you change a thought, or that you anything at all. Celebrate the heck out of it. Your brain then wants more of it, and it really helps reinforce the fact that you're onto a good thing.
Yeah.
And so then you want to do more of it, and little bit by little bit you can start to change your life.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. It's so cool how our brain like recognizes a tiny celebration as still something that they want more, that it wants more of, you know.
Yeah.
Even just going, oh, like just in the moment, the second it happens, you know.
Right. It makes you feel good. Yeah.
It
Yep.
does. It's really exciting. Oh, thank you so much, Louise, for sharing a little tiny snippet of yourself with us today, and hopefully inspiring some viewers to look for ways to value themselves more, maybe to ask for a little bit of help to get themselves to that next level. I will share, of course, all of your links below this video. I do highly recommend hunting Louise down on Instagram. Do you know your handle off the top of your head, Louise?
Wholesome Healing Essentials.
Wholesome Healing Essentials on Instagram. Go and look, like, right this second. It'll give you a little boost. You know, get up and dance with Louise if you want to. It's seconds out of your day that will make a huge difference. So thank you, Louise, for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching, and I will catch you on the next episode of I Know Just the Girl. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Bye.
Louise. Bye.